our first session is Cyber and Data Protection Skills. What's needed now and what's needed next? Professor Sandeep Shukla, please welcome him on stage, and he'll be moderating the session. Next is Mr. Kaushik Ray, who is the co-founder. Sorry, I forgot to introduce Mr. Professor Sandeep Shukla. He is Professor IIT Kanpur, CSE department. Now is Mr. Kaushik Ray. I would like to request him to come on stage. He is co-founder and CEO of WizHack Technologies Private Limited. I would also like to request Mr. Ram Mohan Srinivasan, CEO, SciStar IIT Madras. Dr. Sanjay Kumar Das, he is Additional Secretary, IT and E Department, Government of West Bengal, State Information Security Officer, West Bengal, and Managing Director of Webel. I would next is Darshan Satyam Chantamurthy. He is founder and CEO CISA. So it's a 40-minute session, and last 5 minutes will be dedicated for Q&A. Thank you, sir. Let's begin it.
Thank you. Thank you, Niharika. I hope you can hear me. So the current session is about skilling and what is it that we need today and what is it that we need tomorrow. Tomorrow in the meaning in the near future. Now, so far the lot has been said about skilling, and skilling differs from regular education, right? So we all know that in the university education, oftentimes they do not emphasize so much on skilling. They are more on all-round education. And what happens is that there has been, because of the population pressure in India, we have an enormous number of engineering colleges, and many industry leaders, they have said that 80% of them are unemployable due to lack of skills, right? So you must have heard that. Now, one can always debate about that number, but the point is that large number of our recent graduates are not employable, at least in this field of cybersecurity, because of course in many places they do not have a program in cybersecurity, but even in those places who seem to have programs in cybersecurity, even degree programs, BTech in cybersecurity, it seems that due to the lack of poor skilling infrastructure, oftentimes they are not properly prepared. So that is one of the major concerns, and we always hear at various numbers, India needs 1 million or so many million cybersecurity professionals, and there are already certain programs, but there are also many predatory programs that claim to be skilling programs. Students go through those programs, but they do not learn anything. One of the major reasons could be that they do not filter at the intake, right? So if you do not filter at the intake, you cannot promise the final product will be ready for the kind of jobs that we need to fill. But one other point I want to make before I start the panel, in earnest, and this might be a controversial point, that remember 1990s when India went ahead by creating many skilling programs in the IT, right? So remember various training institutes on the nook and corners of the cities, right? So we created a very large number of programmers and exported them in very large numbers to the developed world, and a lot of the programs we see today, if you bar just Microsoft and Cisco's and Google's and other stuff, but even smaller programs, a lot of these programs are written by those who were skilled in India in 1990s. Now, I do not know whether everybody will agree with that, but a large fraction, other than Chinese and Russian and Eastern European. Indians are the majority of the programmers who were trained in a very hurried manner, that time. Now, I have also heard from people who say that we do not have a cybersecurity problem, we have a software quality problem. The reason why we have a cybersecurity problem is because the software that we have, including the operating system and the protocol stacks and everything, are having low quality. The quality, they are not based on secure programming principles. People did not know about secure programming principles, and therefore we see lots of vulnerabilities. And even today, programs that are being written today also, they leave a lot of vulnerabilities. So in some sense, and this is the controversial point, maybe it is India's responsibility now to skill a lot of cybersecurity professionals to fix the problem we created, right? We created this low quality software, and we need to fix it, right? So we need to do proper skilling this time. The skilling to the level that can actually fix these problems. But do not get very upset about this. But I just thought this might be a point of view. I am not saying that this is the definitive point of view because I do not have the research behind it. I'm just saying. In any case, so we know that yesterday only Zscaler put out a report saying that we have. India is the highest number of mobile malware country, right? So we are seeing lots of attacks, every day. Like if you have a honeypot in your organization, you are seeing, millions of attacks on a weekly basis. So therefore, we have a cybersecurity problem, no matter what the reason is, whether it's a low software quality or whether we are not doing the protection properly or whether we are not doing proper risk-based approach to cybersecurity, whatever it is, we have a problem. And we know that we need good trained professionals who can actually deliver the job that they are supposed to be doing. And that's why we are talking about this skilling program. And hopefully, end of this panel, we'll have some lights, throw some lights on what is it that we need to skill on, and what is it that you will need skill in the future, in the near future, and what are the things that are already happening and what needs to happen, right? So in this context, I will request first Darshan ji, he is from the industry, so to give us an industrial point of view. So the first round will talk, or each of us will give a point of view. So his point of view about what the industry needs in terms of skilling, what is he seeing in the industry, where we lack and where we are doing well, and very, very quickly.
Thank you, Professor Shukla Sahab. Firstly, from an industry standpoint, I think just continuing the construct which Mr. Ved spoke about just earlier session, I think I like the analogy where he spoke about cybersecurity for all, cybersecurity for many, and cybersecurity for few. And from an industry standpoint, I think largely it will be the second and the third which will be applicable for us. So cybersecurity for many, which is the resources that we need as an industry, as you rightly said, when we go to the, in terms of the entry level skills, we find it very hard, right? And the reason is cybersecurity is something that you need to learn hands-on and on the job, and there's immense amount of learning that happens on the job. And one of the key things that we have seen, which has really worked, is long-term internships, which we are very fortunate to see as a lot of universities and institutes colleges open for long-term internships, which is, I think, one of the ways in which I think we should promote, where the students also benefit, and the industry can also invest in long-term internships. When I say long-term internships, it's a year or even longer. And I think I would encourage all of us to start thinking from academia as well as the industry, to look at long-term internships. Cybersecurity for few, that construct, if you want to be a leader in cybersecurity, and today we have to build world-class cybersecurity products and solutions out of India. Vinayak rightly pointed out that we as a country would need to not be a consumption kind of a country. Today, let's face it, that many of products that we use today is really not built out of India. We are basically a consumption economy, right, in cybersecurity. And if you want to really we have to invest a lot in R&D. We have to invest a lot in cutting edge, and for that we need to build world-class talent. And despite all the R&D centers being here, the fact of the matter, the brutal fact is that we're still doing execution and not leadership in terms of architecture of products, which is still driven from outside India, either US, Israel, and stuff like that. So I think my 2 cents from a comment from the industry standpoint is I have a solution for the second problem, which is cybersecurity for many, which is long-term internships. Cybersecurity for few I don't have. I'm open for conversations and trying to brainstorm how do we build cutting-edge talent which can build world-class cybersecurity products as well as thought leadership, so that at the end of the day we become leaders and not followers. Everything when we're talking about post-quantum cryptography, we are following NIST for their own principles. Why can't India do it? Why can't we think about those kinds of, and I think that's the aspiration that we are all painting for. Professor Shukla sir.
Thank you so much. So I think one of the major point you made is that long-term internships in the industry so that they can get skilled by doing. And the other thing is that the investment in R&D is required to make India more of a production economy in cybersecurity than consumption economy. And finally, we have to create the thought leaders in cybersecurity. That requires like cybersecurity for the few, and that's one of the difficult ones, right? So I'll now go to Mr. Ram Mohan Srinivasan. So he has a lot of experience both in industry and now in academia. So he can tell us about what kind of skilling programs he is seeing today available in India for many and for the few. We are not so much worried about for all, because that's more like an awareness kind of paradigm, right? So,
okay. So, picking on what my previous speakers have talked about, as a center,
I think you have to use that.
As a center, cybersecurity center, which we formed in IIT Madras, was formed with the principle that cybersecurity is not is a phenomenon which requires a multifaceted approach. It's just not addressing or training a few individuals. So I'm on board with that. It requires training for all, which means that all of the students who come out into the industry, regardless of their specialization, be it computer science, non-computer science, or anybody, they should have fundamental concepts of cybersecurity grounded well into their coursework. Because today we know that the industry, when they absorb people, they don't necessarily take people from computer science background. They take people from mechanical, electrical, electronics, all kinds of background. And the first thing they teach them is programming. Programming in Java, Python, and all that. They hardly talk about what are security principles you need to embed in all of your programs. So getting out of an education institution, if the education institution can guarantee that the guys who come out to the field are fundamentally grounded on cybersecurity concepts, or at least cryptography, all the stuff, that'll be immense. And the second problem of continuous training, even there, the centers like IIT Madras, what they can actually do is that today there are a lot of education programs built by industry to continuously train professionals. But the attacks which are happening today are so advanced in nature. Again, you need to understand the very core, very fundamentals of how the attacks manifest, how they propagate. The gestation period of all these attacks they run into months, if not into years. So when you train a program for the professionals who are in the industry today, even they must have a proper grounding of the fundamentals. I'm not saying that it's only fundamentals. They also need to have the training on the model tools and techniques. But fundamentally, they should also know what's happening today, what's out there for tomorrow. For example, if you talk about quantum safety today, not many people understand that why your encryptions can be broken very easily if 10 years down the line. So many people will think that, oh, why can I wait for 10 years? No, because there are the data being hijacked today and which can be encrypted tomorrow and which have a long shelf life. So that's happening. So again, so that's where we come into play. Third but not least is that how do you encourage students to actually pick up a career in cybersecurity? If I go to a class of 100 today and ask them to raise their hands, how many of you want to do AI/ML? Everybody will raise 2 hands. If I ask them how many people are serious about pursuing careers in cybersecurity, very few. Now there are many things that we can teach about. They actually own the future. What I mean by that is the digitization. They are there to ride on the digital world which we have built, and so data or security, everything, or credibility is theirs to lose. So fundamentally, if we can bring home in the concept that security is everybody's responsibility, it's just not about a few individuals, and we'll go on to that later. I mean, that will build the fabric of how do you build sustainable cybersecurity skills. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ramoji. So one of the issues that you raised is that skilling, just for skilling is not enough. Like, we have to have the fundamentals also embedded in the skilling process, right? So that is very important, because many times by skilling we just teach like programming, and we do not teach the fundamentals, the limits of what the softwares can do, and so on and so forth. Now I'll come to Sanjay ji. Sanjay ji, you are leading Webel, and I know that you have a lot of skilling programs there itself. So if you could tell us how these skilling programs are being received by government and the industry, and how these things are taken up by students. It will give us some idea about whether our audiences are interested in what we are asking ourselves to do.
So just to add to what my previous speakers were telling or speaking about, I want to add to each one of them, then I can't answer to your question. So just on top of that, cybersecurity is not liked as a career by the students because it is not promoted as such in that manner. Elon Musk does not promote security, he promotes AI/ML. So security is seen just like an other's baby. We are given, opportunity to raise other kids. So it is just teaching a pocket after you have stitched the entire coat. So it is just like that. It's not even a band-aid. It's an afterthought. So only then every security salesman or a marketing guy smiles when there is an attack. चलो कुछ तो आजकल तो कुछ तसल्ली हुई, कोई तो मेरा बात आज सुनेगा. So that same thing happens with us, who actually goes up the ladder to actually talk to our boss in the government sector. The same thing happens with everyone, even DSCI, when they talk to the government. So beyond that, I would say that government is a responsive organization. It responds to, just like police. Police does not come to your home every day and ask you whether last night somebody has tried to come inside. So similarly, government does not actually act, it reacts. So from that point, during the last 8 years, we have understood that the job description requirement and the knowledge of the students coming out or the professionals that they vie to become, there is a gap. It is called the skill gap. So skill gap exists not only for cybersecurity. Sir, don't take me otherwise, but cybersecurity is not a classical subject. I am a student of physics. It's not a classical subject. It's a jugaad completely. So you cannot have something defined, cybersecurity course, this, that and all. It's just a jugaad. So चलता है तो चलता है, नहीं चलता है तो बंद हो जाता है, बस. So cybersecurity depends upon the skill that one has, and we often try to bring somebody from outside to take care of our security. So first of all, the job description and what the professional that already, supposedly should have, that the difference is skill gap and it should be just bridge. So cybersecurity should be looked as a finishing school model. And for West Bengal, we have done that. So we understood that all those who are coming out of graduate and postgraduate level with specialization in cybersecurity, they will not serve government, Indian, any interest. They will not work for any MSME or startup because they would require, some figures in lakhs. So we should train this ITI guys, that means the polytechnic guys and all. So 5 years back, we brought out the first course in the entire country that is called Polytechnic, the Diploma in Cybersecurity. It got AICT certified, and now more than 1,000 polytechnics across the country, they are following. And much more courses that followed. So we started with that. Then we understood that the physical guard is not required anymore because we don't keep money. Everything has become digitized. So every physical guard should be actually trained to become a digital guard. So we have created a vocational course, and we have all across, we have trained most of the guards guarding ATMs and colleges and institutions and offices, talking to all those big companies who employ. We start giving them small vocational training. And I am in favor of that, that cybersecurity for all, because this is the responsibility of the government. Awareness is the responsibility of the government, and professionals, their responsibility is for, this knowledge enhancement. So we are for cybersecurity for all. So we started with cybersecurity for school children, college students, and graduates, postgraduates, professionals. And very recently we understood during the pandemic, when this entire work from home became a fab and requirement also, that security should be looked into from the perspective of how you are protecting your exposure rather than finding out the vulnerability. So common vulnerability exposure is more about exposure rather about vulnerability. You will continue to have vulnerability. कोविड तो जाएगी नहीं, हर एक आदमी को कोविड होगा, तो उसको दूसरे को बचाना है. अपने को बचाने से बेहतर है to wear mask and keep safe distance. So that cyber hygiene model should be ingrained into the, actually ensuring that your vulnerabilities are protected from being exposed into the networks or the other these things. So that design sense, what both the previous speakers had said, we created a framework called Secure Coding Practice Framework. Recently it got certified by CERTIN, and we are bringing it out across the country. And we have already trained more than 300 professionals on that. And post that, we went back and found out that their vulnerabilities, identification of vulnerabilities has come down, because they have understood how to actually, if not create, then how to manage CR even. So per se, in West Bengal, from the side of being in the government as additional secretary and as running a company, Webel, whose one of the verticals is security, and in these both sides, I am seeing that government is responsive, understanding the necessity of the industry and supplying solutions.
Thank you so much. So, what if I understood correctly, you are saying that there are university programs in cybersecurity where the people who are coming out of those, their packages, there is a wage, that is not affordable by MSMEs and smaller companies, and for them, we need to create a skilled workforce, and that's one of the approach that you have taken by creating the Polytechnic program in cybersecurity, which is pretty now widespread, correct? So the other thing is that you have other programs like the program Secure Programming. In the next round, this round I will not ask you, but in the next round I will request you to also tell us how the MSME and others are accepting these skilled professionals. But let's now move to Mr. Kaushik Roy. So he's also from the industry. So for him, the question is very similar to what I asked Darshanji, is that how is the industry filling the skill gap, and what are you hearing, and what we can do in terms of that skill gap bridging. And then Sanjay ji also has mentioned something very important. There is a wage gap also between some skilled professional versus university educated professionals. So that how do you address that?
This is very interesting. A lot of you would have noticed that skilling has come in vogue over the past couple of years, largely because industry realizes that conventional academia has somewhat lagged behind in producing ready-made, industry-ready graduates. I think that is the fundamental reason why a lot of skilling companies have come to the fore. Government is encouraging industry-academia partnerships. We all know of the classic dichotomy in India. On one hand, you have millions of cyber defenders which are needed, 1.5 million or 2 million. On the other side, you have the world's highest number of unemployed graduates. So, when you look at the journey of Vizag, we started with a very strong focus of being vertically integrated and building world-class products within India. We believe that India could, I think what Vinayak earlier said, also, that though India is known as an engineering talent, but we see ourselves as largely services people. We create products for someone else. That monetization happens with product OEMs which are based in US or other parts of the world. So when we started that journey, we realized that you're just not getting the right talent within India. And that actually created the need for having a strong training pipeline. We worked with multiple IITs, etc. There are two things. If you look at a category like cybersecurity, where knowledge obsolescence is very high, that this cannot be taught by conventional approaches of training or education. This is deeply experiential, where every student needs to learn what are the latest tools, the latest techniques, and you need very high automation, because we are talking about a big country. And if we have to be the feeder of the world, or India has to be the worker of the rest of the world, then you need very high level of automation. So what did we do? We created technologies like cyber range, we created virtual labs, we created a lot of technologies in which you can produce at scale for different verticals. And I guess Professor Shukla will address this, what we did for different industry segments in creating products which were essentially creating training, really market-ready cyber defenders who could just come out, do the training, and then apply it there, rather than learning a lot of theoretical stuff.
Okay. So thank you, Kaushik ji. So I think one thing you talked about is that a lot of market ready, industry ready. So in many industries, actually, in many academia, there is always apprenticeship after the academia. In our case also, we have this 3-month summer in the 4th year, or many times 2nd year also students go. But many times it's all about package driven and all that stuff. That's let's not talk about that. But one thing that you also mentioned is obsolescence. Cybersecurity indeed is like the skills will become obsolete very, very fast, right? And that's where the education and skill combination comes, because education gives you fundamentals on which you can depend to actually reskill yourself. So as a professor of cybersecurity, I actually every semester I have to redo my slides whereas my colleagues who are teaching theory of computation, they're using 20, 30-year-old slides and without any problem, right? So I often crib about it that I have to prepare because it changes so fast, right? Now, so we took a little more longer in the first round itself than planned. So in this round, again, we'll ask you to do 2 to 3 minutes on, now this time very specifically, name some skills that you think our young people who want to skill themselves should be benefited if they skill themselves in those, because you have seen in the industry the need for those, and list of a couple of skills that you think will come up in the next few years because of the advent of AI, ML, etc. So I'll start from Darshanji and go this way.
Thank you, Professor Shukla. So first is, once again, using the same construct, cybersecurity for many, right? So I think one of the key things that we all need is, I can speak for my own company and what we see, we are leaders in the digital payment security and stuff like that. So one of the key things that we are trying to put is to see how India can be a global leader in securing digital payments infrastructure. So one of the key skills gap that we see is today there are not many cybersecurity professionals to protect the digital payment industry. So that is one skill which is going to be for many, and there is a huge, because every country has an agenda for inclusion, and digital payments today is growing at a rapid pace across the world. So that is one skill where I feel that we as a country can, we are now, thanks to the many government initiatives, we are world-renowned for setting up a world-class digital payment infrastructure. Can we also build enough skill pool for protecting the digital payment infrastructure, not just in India, but globally? So that is one big opportunity which I see, and also for students to do it. And we have as a company, we also have a program and a certification which is ENAB accredited for CPSI, which is for digital payment security. The cybersecurity for few, which is cutting edge, I think one, it's a no-brainer for AI. In fact, we, CISA as well as CERTIN has partnered and launched a program called CSP AI, which is cybersecurity for AI, which is, I feel that there's huge potential for AI. The other skill that, which is going to be deep tech, which is also on quantum, Professor, Dr. Ram Mohan mentioned about it, which is also a huge opportunity on can we build cybersecurity professionals for quantum security, which is post-quantum cryptography and things like that. So I see huge opportunity. One is digital payment security for cybersecurity for many, and then cybersecurity for few is, and then the third component which I missed out is good engineering talent to build world-class cybersecurity products, because that is slightly different from the traditional cybersecurity. So if we can build engineering talent to build world-class cybersecurity products, because it requires a different frame of mind and different passion, so that we can obviously build our own products and not just be a consumer of technology. That's my answer.
Thank you. So important things you said is India has done probably the world's best in the digital payments field. Right? Nobody has UPI, right? So leveraging on that, we can probably become the world's leading light in the how to secure the payments, digital payment industry. So we have to wind up.
Yes.
Okay. So give us like 6 minutes for everybody, other three. Yes. So okay. So Ramonji, can you do it 2 minutes? So.
Thank you. So one of the challenges that we all are saying is the skill gap, right? Number of professionals who are there in the market. Now, we have automation in place that can be leveraged extensively. Many of us who have seen the maturity of the testing industry, we have heard the word called a shift left, right? Where and the way they did that was that purely by automation. They just put automation in every aspect of testing and application to shift left, thereby they squeezed the cycle of, from concept to production. They took out the testing phase time dramatically. Now, we can also employ the same concept in applying, in doing cybersecurity assessment. Why not? Because you already have tools, DevSecOps is already there. So what I will actually encourage people in the industry is to, to apply DevSecOps concepts everywhere, and where security is built into the into the build build phase construct automatically. There are tools available, leverage them extensively, and also security by design. Not towards the end where somebody has to certify, okay, this product is is it good to go to production or not, and by then I think we would have exhausted all the budget, and there is very less money available to to push in the extra bit of code to make it safe and secure. Shift left again. Ask your CISO guys from CISO to work with the architects upfront during the design phase, during the development phase. Ensure that security concepts are embedded right all through the development life cycle. So that will kind of shrink, not only shrink, but also save you dollars towards the end.
So you're advocating people get skilled in DevSecOps, secure by design. So basically more fundamental and secure, probably secure programming and testing and all that stuff. So Sanjay ji, 2 minutes.
I'm using timer. So, first of all, I will go deep into in the lines of Professor Shukla. Students must learn Python, students must learn R, students must learn Kali Linux, students or professionals must learn how to converse with LLMs and SLMs. That means prompt engineering, deep into, we all need to learn prompt engineering, because whatever good things that you are thinking that you have churned out of LLMs, it is useless, because better prompts will bring out better results. So these are the basic knowledge that we should start our children, our professionals, our existing, colleagues to start with, because charity begins at home. So for me, the training should start at my own organization, and then look for others. This is number one side. You wanted me to talk to about that thing, how the MSME has accepted. Yes, West Bengal must be the only state in the entire country which has actually opened up its secure data center for MSMEs to host their applications. 17 applications are there. There are very stringent security norms. That's why more than beyond 17, none has actually qualified. So right now we are thinking that as they are not spending money for security, as Professor Srinivasan has just told, then we are thinking of actually subsidizing their VAPT cost, because if they don't do that, if government actually supports by providing them with VAPT, then they would also use other facilities. So the whole aspect of the entire country would change if we start identifying the critical gaps in the product development of startups and MSMEs and fulfill that gaps through CSR funds and every sort of fund, then we will come up with great products. Great products will not come from great companies. They will come only from our children who are coming up with startups and MSMEs.
So you are advocating focusing on MSMEs and small companies more, because large companies already are spending a lot in cybersecurity anyway, right? So that's a good point. So you have 2 minutes, and then we'll go to the
So I'll give two very large-scale examples of how we did it. There's a very large state government that we worked with, Madhya Pradesh, where they looked at skilling their and creating clear career pathways into cyber security. So we also advise them that don't only focus on engineers, also look at maths, physics, psychology, because those are also very good graduates. That's also the Israeli mindset. To reskill them and put them into them, we used 6 different industry verticals, because the bottom of the pyramid, as per Prahalad Kakkar, and India is a manifestation of that. So is really to put a lot of these people into services industry. So we actually trained them for 6 verticals, which was finance and banking, healthcare, manufacturing, governance, etc. So we trained them, put these entire, I think 10,000 odd was each batch, and we trained all of them for these services sector. The top 10%, we put them specifically for product, because they were people who had very strong lateral thinking skills, and they could be, they had a clear path into products. The other very big thing that we did was with Tech Mahindra, wherein all the people who were selected for, they hire fresh graduates. Most of these ITES majors do that. So there, the people who were selected to be there for cybersecurity, we reskilled them, upskilled them. This was a roughly 60 days program, wherein we made them market-ready cyber defenders. We taught them the specific tools which they were billing customers. So they gave us, and those are the virtual labs and cyber range scenarios that they trained, and they could directly be made as billable resources rather than spending 6 months on the bench and then learning their way through.
Okay, so thank you so much. So I think we have run out of time for ourselves. So we have probably time for 2 questions, maybe? No question? No question? Yeah, we can take 2 questions. 2 questions, yeah. So, yeah, there is a question from there.
Sir, while we are looking at skill development as a capacity building, we also have consumption problems in terms of cybersecurity. One of the key mandates that certain logged was keeping logging for all listed entities, for all listed companies in India. So that in case of a cyber warfare, in case of a cyber incident, the same can be reviewed, forensically audited and such. If we take a list of all of the MSC listed companies, MCA listed companies and look back, it will still not cover the expectation of that directive. That is not because capability of SOCs are not present or SOC vendors are not present. It is entirely because even if that log is aggregated, there is sufficiently not capable enough threat hunters out there who would be able to process those logs, give alerts and operate on them. Is that an additional skill area that we'll look into?
Yeah, threat hunting is obviously a skill area. There is a CTI, the Certified Threat and Incident Responder certification. So I think you can.
Actually, you are bang on. As far as we are concerned, we deeply believe that threat hunting actually starts with log assessment. So not only log assessment, you need to also learn how or make people learn how open source log assessment solutions should be identified. Most of the times we vie for package solutions, but the all open source solutions I should not name because there are so many OEMs sitting here, they will just kill me. So but there are astounding open source log assessment tools. Kaushik ji's company actually is using one, so I was very gung-ho just before coming here. So these log assessment tools should also be started, training, because threat hunters would be actually, they are few because they depend upon OEMs. So if OEMs are not allowing them to be trained, then it is absolutely a sort of, set principle way. So you are correct. We need to actually focus upon and start integrating in our curriculum from the graduation level that assessment, log assessment as a first step towards threat hunting model.
Thank you. Yeah, I had one very good.